Hey everyone, good evening. Thanks for joining. Welcome to my stream. It's Monday morning, or Monday afternoon even, and it's been a long weekend because it's been a bank holiday weekend here in the UK. So as you can see, I already think it's morning, kind of a bit confused about what time of the day it is. But I'm still keen to share some of my open source work with you and some of my best practices. I was keen today to talk about continuous integration and continuous delivery. So I thought we'd start off without sharing my screen, but actually start off by sharing my screens, like all of them. So let's see who we have today. So Venza, thank you for joining, and Object Factory, thank you for joining as well. Any questions, do just jump in and ask. So what I wanted to show, if I bring up my screen and show you this. So let's talk about CI and CD. So where's the best place to start? If I start probably at the beginning, and if some of you have covered this already, then apologies. And if you want to add something to it, please do say in the chat. And if I miss anything that you're not sure about, do ask. So CI and CD. So CI stands for continuous integration. And on the continuous integration server, every time you make a change to your code and you commit it and then push it up, be it in your mainline branch or in any other branch, depending on how you've configured your CI, and I'll show you some of that in a minute, it will then run your build. So it will build your code, run any tests, and also the CD part is actually doing the deployment part of that if it's a successful build and in the right branch. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but let me actually show you what it looks like. So if we start off with the high level stuff, so here on my screen you can see is my project, Dashboard Hub Pipeline Dashboard, and it's my open source project. I'm not going to go through what the project is at the moment. I've done that before in a previous video, and I'm sure I'll do it many times again. What I'm keen to show you is I've got quite a few badges down here, but if you look down here, I have build passing, and then if you look right at the bottom left, you can see travisci.org, and let's go to that and find out what that is. Actually, I've got it opened on a tab here, and what this does is it's got a similar naming to what your project is on GitHub, and it will run builds every time it notices a change, and I will run through this so you can see it. So it will run through it. So in this case, you can see it's running some various exports, and it's building my code and doing what it needs to do. So how do we set that up? So on GitHub, you would, if it's using Travis, it needs a travis.yaml file. So if I click on that, and you'll see this, and you select your language. It supports many languages from Java to PHP to Ruby. There's quite a few, and then you can usually specify the version of the code. Of the compiler. So in this case, we're using Node.js, and so I'm saying version 8. And you can actually even have it to have multiple versions. So if you do want to be proactive rather than reactive, and have your code built and run on a newer version, so you could run it on a beta or an alpha or the next version if you haven't necessarily moved to it in production, and even an older version if you have people using the older version. That way you can run all your tests and your build in different versions, and some of them you can also catch as warnings. So if you had a new version, which will say in beta, you could flag it as just don't flag it as a failure, flag it as a warning. So you're aware of it and you get notified, but it doesn't break the entire build, because you're maybe just keeping your finger on the pulse and your eye on what's up and coming. So by default also builds for all branches. So what I've done here, I've specified I only want to build for 2 concrete branches, which is master, and that's effectively my production, and I'm going to go more into that shortly. And then my current mainline, which is 0.9, and that's the full name. I'm going to be lazy and just say part of it. So 0.9. So by all means, do ask any questions if you do have any. So my main line, my default branch is version 0.9, and that deploys to test. Again, I'm going to show the deployment process shortly. And then I have a regex here. So what it's going to do, anything with issue hyphen, it will also run the build. There won't be a deployment for it, and that's further down in the config file, but it will run a build. It will make sure the code compiles and make sure all the tests run and pass. I'm treating the branches that are issue hyphen and then a number as my feature branches, so I can just check that they're working. But if they break, I'm not too worried about it because maybe it's not finished yet. And then you can put some environment variables, and I've just specified that. So before the install, I've said, okay, get Python 3, and I'm not using Python in my project, but I am using the AWS CLI, which is written in Python. I'm just clearing the cache, and I'm decrypting some encrypted variables that are in the encrypted files. So that actually, when someone, I actually have an issue that I need to sort out. When someone commits a pull request and they're not within the organization, Travis will omit that line and it won't decrypt any of those files. And so that line will actually fail. So I need to move that line somewhere else, because the deployment further down will only happen when you're when it's merged or any work's done on someone on the core project. And then scripts, usually where you run your tests. So I've got make install local, and I'm going to show you my make file. Make is effectively a build tool, and in a nutshell, all it does is group together your kind of shell commands. So it's just to keep this file tidy and allow me to use it locally when I'm developing locally. So it make install local. I'll show you exactly what's under the hood with that shortly. But that's basically installing the local environment. So npm dependencies and installing a few other bits and pieces. And then I run the tests, and you can see that I prepend it's just a make command again. At the end, towards the end of the line, if you see, it says make API, and that's to get the API up and running. And I prepend that with environment variables, which you can see are auth0 client ID test, and then this comes in from the secure private variable, so you can't see those. And then I do make test, which runs the test, and then I do make UI. And actually talking through this is actually really good, actually really helped, because I've just realized that I've spotted a potential bug in the future. So at the moment, I'm only running tests for my API, because that's what I want to be bulletproof. However, I haven't got any UI tests, and UI tests are useful, don't get me wrong, but if they let some data through that they shouldn't, the API will stop it. And API and UI tests are a bit more painful to run. But however, what I've noticed is that I'm building the UI after I'm running the tests. So really that should happen before. So let's actually fix that right now. I'm just going to do it in GitHub here, and we'll just hit edit. I'm going to put it straight. Let's do it with a pull request actually as well. Let's just create an issue. Let's do this properly. So what we've noticed is CI build UI after tests. So I'll assign it to myself. I mean, if anyone watching has any questions, do jump in. If anyone watching does want to fix this and send me a PR and get their open source contributions kind of flowing, then please, by all means, do so. So I'm just going to create this issue. I'm going to log it into this milestone, which was number 9. And the labels I'm going to give it, again, it's just for me, it's a really simple thing to do. And I'm going to put it under DevOps. And I want to say, just to be good, DevOps CI should build UI, then run tests. Okay, I'm going to create the issue. I see a few more people have joined. Booth Cow, if you want to say hey, do say hey. Any questions? please do ask. So apologies if I pronounce your name incorrectly. So I've just created that issue. I'm actually going to go and make a change. I'm going to put it straight into V09. No, let's make a pull request, shall we? Let's make a pull request. So I'm going to branch off that, and I'm going to call it with the issue number that we just created, which is 776. So if I just do that, issue 776, and you can see GitHub says it's going to branch from V09. Okay, so now I've got this branch and I'm in this branch. Let's just make a quick change, and then you'll see CI build, and then when we merge it in, you'll also see it deploy as well. So I make this edit. So what I did notice is we want this one to actually happen before this, because we want to build the UI, then run the tests. So let's say we fixed CI and build UI before running tests. I want to commit this to the branch 776. So I commit that. So that's committed. If we go over to Travis now, you can see Travis has already picked it up. Wrong one, let me see. Here we go. It's already picked it up, and it's going to start building it. And it'll probably take about 10 minutes to build. Editor. Slayer Darth, thanks for joining, thanks for the question. So, my editor that I had up before was Intellij. This one. But I've got lots of uncommitted files locally, so I was just doing it within the GitHub editor. So we can see this has changed around. Okay, and while that's building on CI, I'm actually going to create a pull request. And we're going to say merge 776 into 09. This is the change what we did. Okay, and we're going to say 776, and I want to say closes, so we can automatically close it once we merge it. I just created that PR now. And also GitHub keeps track of Travis's actions, so we can see what's going on. And it's being a bit slow today, let's give it 10 minutes, but while that's going I can talk you through the rest. So what else I wanted to show you, if I go back to this Travis file, was the deploy section. So if it's successful, I have got two deployments. So I've got one saying if it's on branch 0.9, make install.test and then make deploy.test, and that will actually deploy it to the test environment. And then if it's on the master branch down here, I've got make, install, and then deploy. So make is the command, install is a task, and deploy is a task. So I didn't quite catch that, but it looks like one of JetBrains IDEs. Yes, so this is Intellij. So it's very much like JetBrains WebStorm, but it's got all the extra features of having Python and Java, etc. and so on. You probably said Rider. Rider? Not sure what you mean by Rider. But yeah, Intellij is the IDE that I use. Yeah. And is the line not clear, or I'm really tired, it's been a long weekend, so maybe I'm mumbling, so apologies. But yeah, do keep asking those questions. I used it for Java. Yeah, so I used to use PHP Storm for PHP, and then RubyMine for Ruby, and WebStorm for the web stuff like JavaScript, HTML, CSS. And I just found out it was more cost effective to just buy Intellij and I just have literally everything. And depending on what client I'm working on, if it's Java or PHP or JavaScript, it all just works. So that's why I'm using Intellij. And it has nice features like it has the database stuff on the side as well, and a few other bits and pieces which are quite nice. Okay, Slayer Darth, you're primarily a Vim guy. Okay, Vim's hardcore. I love Vim for quick editing, but and I know you can configure it to have a full-blown IDE as well. I just don't find I don't think I have the time to kind of get so involved in it. But Vim is cool. I do use it on the command line for simple stuff. And but yeah, Intellij is my go-to IDE. I do use Atom for quick changes as well. That are a bit more than what I would use Vim for. So, but you know, I think they all roughly do the same. And as long as they're configured to have the same coding standards, or if you use ESLint and so on, then or linter, not ESLint, that's for JavaScript, but a linter, then I think it doesn't really matter too much what IDE people use. Yeah, true. And if you use something like, I can't think what it's called now. There is an SSH tool you can use that if the connection gets lost, it automatically reconnects and continues where it left off from. And I use that on my servers when I'm trying to do any DevOps stuff, when I'm on a train in a build environment, and the connection keeps dropping and you keep having to kind of reconnect and start again. So I can't think what it's called, but it's really good at that reconnecting and then where you left off from. It's a bit different to Screen. I'm gonna try and find it now. I'm kind of getting a bit sidetracked, but it's good discussion. So Screen is really good. Don't get me wrong. Screen is great, but if you get disconnected, then when you SSH back in, you can pick up from where you left off. I agree, but there's something that's automatic. Yeah, it's a very, very fairly light footprint. I agree. Intellij has got a huge footprint. We've got 32 gigs on my iMac Pro. If I switch to this, so my iMac Pro in the middle's got 32 gigs, and even Intellij sometimes says, "Hey, I need some more RAM," and I'm thinking, really? So yeah, and it is very hungry, definitely. What was this thing? I'll see if I can spend 1 minute or 30 seconds just trying to find it. So SSH keep alive or something. I can't remember what it was. I'll find out and I'll share it. I've used it a lot in the past, but recently I'm using it less and less. But basically, yes, it does the automatic reconnect for you rather than with Screen where you have to manually connect and then connect into the screen. Only 1 gig of RAM. Okay, so that's why you use Vim. Min and max memory settings in Intellij to help manage that. Probably are. I am on the defaults, but I think the defaults, the max was like 775 megs. I should probably just increase it to like 5 gigs or something, right? 32 gigs, I might as well use it. Although I'm using quite a bit now, I think. The fans on the iMac, I don't know if you can hear, have just started to come on. Okay, this is still building. So in terms of tech that's being built, I'm using Angular version 5. So it's going to be building that, and I'm also using serverless with the Node with the serverless framework to deploy to AWS Lambda. So this is the API going up, and then the test will start running in a minute for the API. Okay, so let's leave that going. Where was I? This is deployment, so it will do a deployment. So at the moment I am building issue-776 branch, so it won't deploy, but it will run a build because of my my branches. So tmux, maybe. Let me see. Let me remind myself what it is. I thought it had a different name, but you might be right. It might be tmux. Allows access to multiple. No, maybe it's not that. Here we go. Is this it? This rings a bell. Mosh. Connect from a client computer. Yes, it's Mosh. This is the one. Have a look at this. I'll put a link in the chat. It's just a link to Wikipedia rather than an actual link to their website. But this is the one. Yeah, don't know what it's written in. C++, of course. But yeah, this was really, really useful for when I'm being remote and having internet connection go up and down. Radic, what glasses are these? Glasses? Ones I'm wearing. As in, literally glasses. Super dry. I don't know if you can see. But thank you very much if that's a compliment to my glasses. Thanks for joining us, Reddit. And your accent, I take it you're from the UK. Yes, originally my father's from Lebanon, but I've lived here all my life, so I'm guessing you're saying I have a British accent. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment, I guess. Well, where is everybody else from? So, Slayerdaft, where are you from? Just regular yellow ones. Yeah, they're kind of my cool glasses. My wife chose them for me, actually. I chose some rimless, boring, nerdier ones, but she wanted me to wear funky ones. No one spotted the Jenkins cap. I might wear an Ubuntu one next time. If we've got some Linux fans out there, especially if people are using Vim. I'm sure Linux is... Okay, cool, you're from London as well. Are you a developer? I'm guessing you're a techie. Okay, let me close that. How's our build going? Oh, our build's gone green. I've just refreshed it. Okay, so the build's gone green. So our branch issue 776 has gone green. We can see it started running the API, it built the UI, and then it ran all the tests. That's correct, those errors are fine because they are actually, there you go, run the test. Okay, so now if I go back to my pull requests, I'm going to pronounce that name wrong, but Brad Dive, thanks for joining. Oh, I'm not showing my screen. I've got the camera on behind me on. Okay, let me change back. You're all supposed to be watching me and giving me pointers. Right, okay, I'm back to my screen. So you kind of maybe missed what I did, but I was just showing you that Travis CI has passed, although I am wearing a Jenkins hat. I probably should get a Travis cap. I wonder if they'll sponsor me. I'll try. See if they can send me a Travis hat. I've got an Ubuntu one, so I'll wear that another time. I've got a few Ubuntu ones actually. You pretty much use any language. That's really good. I think it's important now in modern day that you know, we're all kind of polyglot developers, and once you've learned one language, learning the rest is. Each language has its specifics, but the principles are pretty much the same. The design patterns are the same as well. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I love the appreciation for the kind of the geek of the screens, the cap, the glasses. So thank you very much, I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate everybody getting involved in the chat. It makes it so much easier to have people ask questions and just chat and get involved and so on. So that's awesome. So okay, let me merge this pull request. So we were just fixing the CI. I want to hit merge, and if you notice, it's the issue 776 going to 0.9. And if I actually go to my website and actually show you the version that it thinks, so if I click on, it's going to go to test though, don't forget. So my 0.9 is test. Only when it goes to master will it go to only when it goes to master will it go to the production. So I've just put a test in the URL. I'm gonna wait for it to load, and I'm gonna actually show you the build number at the bottom of the page, and you're gonna see that change after I merge it, and it gets built if it decides to load. Yeah, the web languages do abstract a lot. Your background's in PHP, and currently running some Java projects on my GitHub. Cool. So yeah, my background was PHP as well. Went into Java and then gone more into kind of the Node, the JavaScript sort of full stack, Angular front end, Node back end, and but the design patterns still do apply. So in JavaScript, maybe not so much, but with TypeScript for the Angular 5 stuff, it does. But you're expecting a lot of runtime errors. Okay. Yeah, Java is very strict, and I think it's a good language to start off with, but I didn't start off with Java, and I think it's fine. I think it's just practice. I mean, design patterns can be applied to all. I mean, I'm a big fan of design patterns, and I actually want to stream talking about design patterns and showing people how simple it is to do, say, the adapter pattern or the factory, and just to make things consistent and really easy for people to add more and more things to it. Yeah, that's what I think of PHP at the moment. But I did do it for 10 years. So, and PHP got better towards the end in terms of, PHP 7 did have strict types and so forth. But end of the day, with these languages, it's not really the language. Well, actually, the languages can be a bit flexible. So PHP and JavaScript are very flexible, and there's a lower barrier to entry. But I've seen bad code in all languages, to be honest. Trying to log into our PHP base site now is down nightmare. Yeah, there are some. There is an AOP framework for PHP. It's mainly just used for logging. So if you want to do aspect-oriented programming, so you can put pre and post hooks into functions. But in PHP that's quite slow because it's quite a slow thing to do in the application. I don't know why this isn't loading. My browser crashed. Oh, I know why. Because my test platform is not on HTTPS. I should have known that. If that's the only thing to go wrong today, then I'm good. So so this is Dashboard Hub, and again, I'm not going to go massively into this because I haven't mentioned it in the last stream. But what I wanted to show you is right at the bottom. If you see here, it's at the moment in the test environment, it's saying 0.9.1219. And if I go to this pull request, I haven't merged it yet. I don't think I have. I'll refresh it and check. I haven't merged it. So when I merge that pull request, which is going to merge into 0.9, which is will deploy to my test directory, test environment. When CI builds, I should drag this over. When CI builds, I'm going to right to the top, build history, and it builds successfully and deploys, we will see that this will bump to the next build version. Which won't be the next number, it'll probably be a bigger step because build is on 1.2.2.3, so this will probably jump to 1.2.2.4. So let's try that and see, and I'll come look back at the chat in a second. So if I merge that in, confirm merge. Okay, let me delete the branch, and you'll see now CI has already started building. It's orange at the top. 0.9 is building, and it's 1.2.2.5 actually. Okay. So we'll leave that running and we'll come back to that in a second. But just for the record, remember at the moment it's running 0.9.1219. The chat. I'm still working with a lot of shared hosting. Oh, excuse me. I haven't done shared hosting for PHP in a while actually. When I did do PHP a few years ago, it was all dedicated, but I'm sure it can be difficult. Connect via FTP, so I haven't used FTP in a long time. Okay. Yeah, deploying via Git. I mean, Heroku and stuff like that is really good for deploying. That has its own pros and cons, but in terms of deploying via Git is awesome. I really, really like that having as a remote, and I think that's really useful. Yeah, yes. I haven't done that, but you could still, even with the FTP or SFTP, could you still not use something like Travis or Jenkins to do that deployment for you? So Jenkins has lots of plugins for deployment. I mean, even Travis does as well. So you could deploy, even if you haven't got loads of automated tests, you could still, build the code or install the dependencies, and maybe even just do kind of a hello world check, and then get it to deploy it out. At least there isn't that manual step, and it's a bit more consistent. Let me switch to the other tab of CI so we can see how it's doing. So yeah, it usually takes about, I don't know, with the deploy, because that's if you notice, the issue ones are without the deploy, so they're a bit lower. But the ones, if you look down here, the 0.9 is probably twice as long because it deploys the UI and it deploys the API. And with the UI, it actually deploys to S3, and then it has to clear the CloudFront cache. So that takes quite a while because it waits for that to clear before moving on. Yeah, have a look. I mean, if you're not using CI for your deployment, for the FTP, you should. Yeah, I didn't think about it too much until you mentioned it, and it made me think, you know what, you could also make that a bit easier, I suppose. If your site was hosted on S3, you could use a CLI tool, AWS CLI, and it deploys static files over a single connection. Gets you away from the danger of logging in remotely. Yeah, Venzo, that's a good point. Using the AWS CLI is really useful. I mean, it's designed to work with S3. So That's good. But even with the AWS CLI, I think it'd be really good if it's possible to use Travis or Jenkins or Circle or whatever your favorite is. I think it's just so it's that repeatability. You don't have one person who's doing it, and it's just done automatically for a certain branch, and then you can even lock down your branches. So my branches on GitHub are the production one, the master one is locked down. So anyone in the team can merge the test. So if I go back to the team, so I've got 14 people here. Any of those people can merge to the test branch. However, only I can merge to the master branch of production. So if something goes wrong, I can get to fix it. But nothing, touch wood, nothing's gone wrong, and it's been okay. How's that going? Okay, it's still going. Find a blog post with Travis and FTP. Yes, nice. Do it. We want to hear how you got on next time as well, so let us know how it goes. I have actually started a Discord, I think I pronounced that right, channel. So if off stream people want to chat and bounce ideas, I think it's really useful. So by all means, it is in under my video on my page. Do join it, it is open. I did that last night, hopefully I've done that right. And by all means join it and let us know how it goes. We're really interested to see how it goes. And if you have any issues, we might be able to help. Yeah, totally, you can have CLI available on your CI to do it. Automation all the way. Yes, Renzo, automation all the way. I like it. Exclamation Discord. Is that like a command I should set up or something? I don't know. I'm really new to this, so hopefully I have set it up right. But any suggestions on Discord and so on, I try to follow a tutorial on it, so hopefully that's correct. Maybe I need to tie a shortcut command in to do it. But any suggestions on that, please do let me know. Okay, so it's still building, right? So what other questions, other things can we talk about? I don't want to go too much into Dashboard Hub. I'll give you a quick 30-second elevator pitch, and you can let me know your thoughts on it. So my elevator pitch on Dashboard Hub. So a lot of techies in the chat here, and some people who are listening might not be techies, but with all projects, all software projects I should say, you have development environment, test environment, stage, production, and everything else probably in between as well, depending on your company and your client and your process. However, it's not always clear what version is in what environment. So the developers or CI do a deployment to dev or to test, and there's always that conversation on what version did you deploy to test? Is it 1.1 or 1.2, and when was it deployed? And then when you get closer to the business, the wider team, I think there's more unknowns and more discussions around that. And once everyone's finally on the same page, another deployment goes out and the whole conversation starts again. So I started Dashboard Hub earlier this year, or end of last year, but alpha went out earlier this year to list your environments and this is test. So actually, test is probably not a good example, because I've got lots of dummy data and fake data in there. But if you look at this, and I do have some UI issues, so do take it with a pinch of salt. But if you look at this, it tells you what version in what environment. So you can see here, actually, this is a good example, v091225, which we were just talking about, has started the build, and you can see it's doing the next step. So it's doing the build at the moment, and it's got 4 steps. Start build, finish build, start deploy, and finish deploy. And with that, I have the 592 releases, and last updated was a minute ago. So as you can see that there you go. So I just refreshed it, and you can see updated a few seconds ago. And why hasn't that updated? Maybe it's broken. CI is broken. No, it's still building. Let's give it a minute. It could be actually in. I might have an issue. I might have found another bug, which might be when it's mid stage. It might be an issue. I should have to have a look into that and see. But you can also see Venza's storefronts on here, and they're using a different versioning system. But you can see what version they have got for the storefront project, and then you've got the admin project. So with mine, I separate it. I've got test here, and then here's my production. So you can see my production is running an older version. I hope really soon this week to update that. So that's basically Dashboard Hub in a nutshell. It does do more now. So if I quickly log in and show you, you just log in with GitHub, so no need to register. Really, really simple. Using Auth0 for my authentication. Yeah, log in. And actually, I've just noticed that account I have created with another account. So bear with me 1 second. Let me go to my wife's account. That's what I've used to create that environment, and I haven't done multiple user access yet. So I'm just logging in again. Yeah, different browsers is Chrome, just so I can log in. So if you notice, for the public, for the ones I don't have access to, it says View, just like it did when I wasn't logged in. And if I click on Details, because now I'm logged in, and I wanted to also show you. So you have the releases. It gives you the release time of how long releases took. I probably need to change that to minutes rather than seconds, maybe, and all the rest. So again, this is still in alpha, but the other thing I wanted to show you was monitoring. So you can actually add monitoring. Okay, I haven't got monitoring on this environment, but if I go to another one, if I go to my environments, which one has monitoring? I think this one does. Monitors. So you can see all the monitors it's taken. So it pings every 30 minutes. I'm looking for a 200. I've got no expected text. So I'm just checking for that 200 and just doing a get. So expected text is match, code is match, and that was actually 6 minutes ago. It took a ping to the static website. So it's got monitoring. So there are lots of other features we want to bring in to make it social deployment. So I want people to be able to follow projects, know when things are deployed. So if you're an early adopter, you can keep on top of things. If you don't want to be an early adopter and you want to wait till it's a bit more stable, you might miss that time when a deployment's happening. So that's basically it. So let's order some more messages. So someone even wrote an article on automating FTP deployments of Travis, CI, and Gulp, latter of which we also use for a number of our shared hosting sites. Nice. So we want to hear some good news. So it's Monday today. So we want to hear some good news. What, by Friday? No, I'm just joking. But yeah, it'd be really good to hear how you get on with that. So I think that might have deployed now. Let me go back to the other browser, and let me close production on this one and go to here. Okay, so 9 minutes 30. So any second now, it's gonna do a deployment. And so while that's going, who else have we got on the chat? Who else can I welcome and say hey to? Waiting for the chat to load. Okay, so we've got. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Brada, thanks for joining. Casper Franz, and PixelPro.co. Reddick, I said hey to you already. Slayer Darth, been chatting to you. Vendra, been chatting to you as well. And Wes Beardtooth. And all of you, thanks for joining. And if you do have any questions, do just jump in the chat. We are very diverse here, very inclusive, so please do ask any questions. If you have just joined, we're waiting to see. Did you see that? It went from orange or yellow to green. So it has actually built my my test branch, my 0.9 branch, which deploys to test. So if I go across to this one, which is test, in the URL you can see it's pipeline-test. And if you see, when I refresh the page, you see this change. So here at the bottom, it's 091219. If I hit refresh, you can see it's changed from 1225, and it matches the build number over here on CI. So that was the continuous deployment. So if I open it, I scroll all the way to the bottom. You see the tests successfully passed. And it said preparing for deployment, and it deployed the application. So and that was deploying Node with the serverless framework to AWS Lambda, and then deploying Angular version 5 to S3 and clearing the CloudFront cache. So therefore it's all new everywhere. And yeah, that's it. So you can see the serverless. then you can see the Angular. So therefore it's all the new version. So nothing really you're going to see change, because what we merged across via pull request didn't have any kind of UI features as such. It was just the CI change that we made. So yeah, that's kind of CI and CD what I've got for Dashboard Hub at the moment. And I mean, there's always more improvements we can make. As we saw, it did take, if I go back to the beginning, it did take kind of 10 minutes 30. I would like to improve that, but I'm subject to AWS on how fast the serverless deploys to AWS Lambda, and S3 is usually a really quick part of it. It usually uploads all the files really quickly. It's the clearing of the CloudFront cache that can take time as well. But if I merged to master, so if I create a new pull request, I'm not going to merge this, by the way. If I do create this one, because I've got I do need to do this week, so if anyone wants to see this, they can let me know. So if I just say deploy to production, I just hit create. And like I said, if anyone wants to see this, I can do this during the week, but you'll see I have lots of stuff that needs to go out. And oh, there's a pull request from someone, from Sneakies, and it will automatically deploy to production. And that's the way it's set up. It's really quite easy to set up. Travis makes it really, really simple. So what I was actually going to show you was my make file. So this is the Travis YAML, and these are the make commands for the deployment and for the build steps. So let me just show you my make command. So I really love make, because I just feel that I can group Linux shell commands together, but I've done a few kind of customizations. So this the hash is the comment, so you can put whatever you want after that, and I've put the default task. So if you just type make and you don't put a task at the end of it, it will just call the help task, which just echoes this and just puts a link to the Dashboard Hub GitHub repo. So I do need to probably make that a lot better. Pull request welcome, and if anyone needs any help with that, let me know. And I've also got this guard. So guard hyphen and then percentage, and what this does is I can protect any task. So if I scroll down, if you see down here on line 43, I've got guard hyphen auth0 client, and what that will do is it will check the auth0 client is set when you run the make command, and if it's not, it will reject it, so it won't even go into that task. Hello streamer, I think you need a webcam. I've got a few cameras, got one on the left, one in the middle and one on the right, but I guess you're being sarcastic. Raise that something. I guess you're being sarcastic. Okay. I was just playing with my cameras, so I have 4, so yeah, 3 in front of me and one behind, and the one behind shows you all my kit in its glory. So any compliments to my setup, really appreciated. Any suggestions will be appreciated as well, to the way I'm streaming or my setup, is all welcome. So let me go back to my screen. So what was I saying? Yeah, so guard allows you to protect a task, which again I think can be reused and it can be quite easy. These MacOS, funny you should say that. Thanks for joining, but funny you should say that. I have actually got a webcam that I was really thinking of putting right at the top of the that I could hang at the top of the big screen, pointing down. I thought that's a bit too much, but I might do it as a joke next time, just for you, and I can say that it was suggested. But yes, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, I'm not that good looking. People don't want to look at me, I don't think. Probably want to look at the swag that I'm wearing. I will change the hat next time. Ubuntu hat next time, I think. Ubuntu got a red, orange one and a grey or white one. Got a few different things. So I'm wearing my Dashboard Hub hoodie. You can see it on the sleeve. Got too many cameras, don't know which one to point at. But I might try the camera at the top just to see. I guess you can see me typing and see the top of the cap. I don't know. We'll give it a go. I'll try something quirky. So anyone has any questions, do jump in as well about the code. So, but really, thanks to everyone for joining in the chat. It makes it so much easier because I'm quite new to this. It's been like just over a week, so it makes it a lot easier to have people kind of join in the chat. And after the stream, I think I mentioned earlier that I set up a Discord. I know someone typed !Discord in the chat and nothing happened, so I don't know if there's more setup I need to do. But there is a Discord, so if we want to chat afterwards, outside the stream, do say, and we can do. I'm always geeking out. I'm always doing open source. I welcome open source contributions to my project, and I'm more than happy to contribute to your projects as well. So if I just bring up my profile, I'll show you what I mean by contribute to other projects as well. I'm quite active, so do just, so I've got a lot of green there. I'm sure some of you have got more green than me, and I am this year. As you can see, I've tried to, from like December time, try to make a lot more of a bigger effort to contribute more to open source. So by all means, do send me your repos, and I'm happy to create a pull request for you. And I do like to focus on the open source side, so it might not be a technical pull request, but to maybe code of conduct or issue templates to help more people get involved. So let me close that. Go back to this. Most non-technical folks use Nightbot or similar, and then all the programs should be. Yeah, I'm using Nightbot to send just my links to Twitter and to GitHub and stuff every 15 minutes. I think it came up earlier. Yeah, it did. But I haven't really used it any more than that. I'm still kind of getting into it. So use can I use Nightbot, I guess, to do more things? I saw it could kind of remove swear words and those sorts of things. But yeah, any suggestions of things I should look up, then please do let me know. Any way I can kind of customize my channel. I'm quite keen to kind of build an open source community and make it inclusive and make it fun and get more open source going and a lot more coding. So I did do write some Cucumber tests on my project on Friday, and I thought that was quite useful, but I didn't have too many viewers, so maybe it's either a bad time or people don't like watching other people write automated tests. Although I made a few mistakes, so it would be really good to have people watch and comment back. So you can do quite a bit with it, banning people using non-whitelist links, vulgar language, and frequently asked questions. Oh, we see. Okay, exclamation mark, some command. Right, that makes sense now. Okay, so that's why when someone else, I think it was Slayer Darth earlier, did exclamation mark Discord and nothing happened. I don't think. Well, I didn't see anything happen here, but that explains. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of those after this stream. So I think that would be good. I have 17 people watching. That's like my best ever. So I know it's only been a week, but thank you very much. Who else have we got? So I mentioned some names earlier. So names that I don't think I mentioned earlier was, I want to say Fox, the first part of it, because I'm really bad at pronouncing it. So Fox RSA. So like the SSH RSA key. That would be a pretty cool name actually. Thanks for joining. And who else have we got new? Sira Pocalypse. Thank you for joining again. I probably pronounced that really wrong, and you're probably pissing yourself now and laughing, saying, "What, this clown?" Okay, back to the makefile. So again, I group things together. So you can also have tasks within the makefile call other tasks. So if I actually scroll down to here, so I've got api.test. So if I ran make api.test, it would run this command. But later on, when I have UI tests, I would like to group them together just so you can go make test. So I've actually started it up here. So I'm calling them in the alias section, and I've called it test. So if I run now make test, it will also run the api.test command. And later on, I could have it so I could do UI.test. And by running, so I could run them individually by running make api.test and then later on make UI.test. But if I wanted to run both together, I can just run make test and it will just run them together. So you can group things together a lot like that, which is really good. It's where I'm from, South Africa. Hey, we're all over the world now. So I think we've got people from the UK, and where else have we got? So we've got South Africa, What other places have we got? Just I know Venger's from the UK as well. I think Slayer Darth said he was from UK, if I remember correctly. Where else did everyone from? It's really good. We can have a wide net all over the world. My colleague was supposed to return a month. Oh, okay, that's not good. Maybe he's enjoying the weather too much, and he wanted to stay. I mean, come on, in the UK, it's what is it? It's April. We only had snow like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I don't blame them. So yes, you can group commands together, and so that's why I really do like make. And what else can I do? So it's pretty much same of the same. Yeah, there's not much more to it on this. That's it. And then I've got my Travis that I showed you. What else can I show you? So I've got showed you CI and CD. I have got some automated tests that I'm in the middle of writing. So I've actually, yes, I've got this writing. I'm using Cucumber for this, CucumberJS, and you can see it's actually testing my API, so a full end-to-end test. And I'm writing it in Gherkin, which is like plain English. So I make a delete request, but I'm not logged in, so I will get expector 403. And given I'm logged in, I do a delete request, but it's to a non-existent expector 404. And I do a delete to a non-existing monitor, and again expector 404. And then I would go on to do the happy path of, scenario, can delete. I'm so bad at writing these titles though, really, really bad. Can delete my monitor, and then you do something like given I am logged in when I make delete request to, I'm just going to cheat and copy this, although that's not the right one. I'll copy the one at the top because that is a valid one. Oops. Copy and paste error. Then the status code should be, what should it be? 204, no content, I think. Should be 204. What? 204. So yeah, I run that and it'll probably fail because I'm in the middle of kind of tweaky stuff. But I can run it if people want to see. Actually, if I open terminal here, update. ZSH, okay, I'll update it. Bad timing. Let's get back to the chat. Oh, no one's talking. So never seen a test suite like that before. Rather novel. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good, and it's a shame. Vendor who's in the chat. It's a shame he's not pairing with me, literally on the screen, because he knows it's inside out, this sort of stuff. So what it is, if I remove that terminal for a second. So as you write this, underneath it has step definitions, so I can actually make a click on one. So if I just click on the status code, it will open the step definition, and it will open it on the right page, on the right line, sorry, so line 16. It says, it does it like a regex, the status code should be, and there is a newer way of writing this, but the plugin for Intellij that gives you the autocomplete doesn't quite work with the new style, because you can actually do curly braces and just say int or string, but it doesn't quite work, so I have to use regex for the moment. And then you can run commands, so I'm just validating that the response code from the API matches the status code. So what it will do is this digit, so this number, it will put it in here, and then I can just check it matches. Yeah, so it's really, really awesome. So you can test, you can do all sorts of boundary conditions. I can't think of any others for now. I could probably show you another one. Maybe a create might be more interesting. So here in my create, so creating an environment for Dashboard Hub. I cannot create an environment when not logged in, so there's no given I am logged in, so it's missing that. I make a post to that and I get a 403. I haven't got any post variables because it doesn't really matter. I'm expecting the post to fail, so the variables don't actually matter. But then here, lower down here, I say create an environment successfully. This title bit here is just a description, so it doesn't actually have to it's part of the test because it's a description, but it doesn't actually affect the test. Whereas what you write down here in this given when then is actually part of the test. So given I'm logged in, so this actually will log in. It actually gets a JWT for the user and logs them in. And I have done that by, this is a step definition, and then if I go to the world step, I actually have this login part, and it actually goes to auth0 and gets me a JWT to use. So behind all this English is actual code that runs, but it allows you to reuse it over and over again. So I've got, when I make a post request with these variables, so I can say title is this, type is this, description is this, and so on. And then I expect the status code to be 200. I was having a discussion actually with Venzera about should it be a 201 or should it be a 200. And apparently the conclusion we've come to is if it's got nothing in the body back, it's a 201, but if it's got a body in it, it's a 200. I'm still on the fence about that, so I'm just put a to-do in there and I can worry about it later. But so giving it 200, and then I expect the ID to have a UUID. I can't actually check for the specific number because it's randomly generated, so I don't know what it is. But however, I know who the owner is because it's the automated tests always have the owner of this, and I've got the type to match the type. I'm not going to go through every field, but that's the idea. And same with dates. I won't know the exact date and time it was created. Obviously, it would be within a couple of seconds, but you can never match that. So I'm just checking the format. But then I do boundary conditions, so create environment successfully without tokens. So tokens shouldn't be able to be passed in. It's generated by the system or at a later stage in the user journey. So I've passed this in, but I'm expecting that it has a field tokens of length 1 because I've put 2 in there. I'm expecting both of those are ignored, and 1 is created by default. 200 is for success, 201 is if you've posted to a DB and it's created a record. Yeah, so that's what I thought as well. So I thought the 201 is the correct because I have created a post. So I make a post request that endpoint with these fields. So I thought it was a 201 as well, but there was, yes, I don't think Ben's was on anymore to have that discussion, but really just interesting to see his thoughts. But he was saying that, yeah, the 201 if it has no body back, it's just a create, then it's 201, but if it has a body, it should be a 200. I've coded it to be a 200 because I had some issues with serverless, with AWS gateway, API gateway. So I've just left it as a 200, but I have put a to-do in there. But it's interesting to see that you agree with me, with my thinking, that 201 is because you've posted to an API and it's created a new record in the database. So it should be a 201. So I am thinking of changing that, but I don't want to fight with AWS API Gateway just yet. I've got more important things to do at the moment. So yeah. And just to show some of my other validation ones, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to show how the CucumberJS works is I've got the title, and I want to check the validation length, so I've just created A, and it's minimum length of 3, so I expect a 400 back, and you have to have a type, and I haven't put a type in this one, so again expecting a 400 back, and so I've got loads more below, like different types that aren't valid, they have to be valid types. So I do want to check that I get the right message back in the response, but as I haven't coded that in the code and I want to get the full coverage over the API first, then I'm going to go back and make improvements. I'm actually using DynamoDB at the moment, and I'm actually thinking of potentially moving away from DynamoDB and moving to Aurora serverless. What I liked about DynamoDB was I didn't have to create a VM and then decide on the size and all the rest. I would just pay for my usage, which most of the time, the free tier usage on DynamoDB is quite generous. So it's always, practically free or under $1 a month. And but I fight with some DynamoDB functionality in terms of indexes and sorting and searching. It's a bit of a pain. I think it's really good for real-time, kind of almost like queuing stuff, or for logs or something like that, where it's quite sequential and you don't want to search for it so much. So I'm thinking of moving to, as I found out watching another streamer last week, that Aurora have bought out Aurora serverless. So you don't have to say, I want this many gigs, or you have to specify a VM size. You can actually just use it like DynamoDB and say, hey, create me a database and connect to it. And it charges you on connections, on storage, and on traffic. But again, it's really generous, their tier. So I think it was something like 25 gigs of storage. I think 25 gigs of data is quite a lot. One thing DynamoDB does have that I will miss is the TTL. So on Dashboard Hub, if I go back to here, if you look at this monitoring, I have 337 pings, and it hovers around that because it pings every 30 minutes, but it I have a TTL on it of, I think it's 7 days. So after 7 days, I don't have to code anything, I don't have to do anything. All I do in the, if I go back to the IDE, in the serverless config, if I go back to here, I think it's serverless. Yeah, so in the config that serverless reads in, I just have a TTL on these two tables. So on the ping table, which is effectively the monitoring, yes, I hate the names. I created this a while back, and if I move to serverless, Aurora serverless, I will rename these. And same with the deployed ones. I'm only keeping, I think, a month. Environments, I haven't got that. I'm keeping them, all of them. But otherwise, the data gets too big. And some of the other things I guess I'm looking into is if I put it into a database, then I might use something like Elasticsearch to allow me to do aggregations and say, hey, give me a view of the last 6 months on a weekly basis. Whereas at the moment, I'm reading every item out, and you can see it's quite squashed. It's quite ugly. But again, these are improvements I'm going to do over the next few months. I'm just keen to get some feedback on that. So. Your client secret was just shown, mate, for Auth0. Oh, was it? Where? Which screen? Was it in here? Oh yeah, they are. No one screenshot. It's fine. It's just dev account, just on my dev account. So I will reset that. But I really appreciate that. I'm gonna go reset it straight after this. But yeah, thanks for spotting that. So that's why it's great pairing with people, because they spot things that you just don't realize. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I will reset that. You know what? I should make a note that I should reset it. So yes, let me close that file so I don't do it again. Because knowing me, I'll do it again. And yeah, I could always reset it, and then in the meantime show you my lovely screens and my lovely setup. I should have some music for that, you know. Da-da! The big screen's not on. For some reason, if I run the 4K screen above on the iMac Pro with a 25K, during streaming to Twitch and recording in a different format to disk, the iMac Pro kind of gets a bit sad. So and you can probably hear the fan coming on again. So yes, I've tried to not use that while streaming. Although it's really great as a monitoring screen to have, like, you know, Travis on one side and I don't know, Spotify or whatever you're using on the other side. So watch movies. I want to try and pronounce your name, Mauriceus. Thanks for joining. We watch movies all day. I do sometimes. No, not all day. But it's good to put a Twitch stream on there because, you know, it's got Apple TV, so it's awesome. So if I just kind of, you know, flick that on and just to put some Twitch on and some streaming. I mean, it's Apple TV on, I should say. And it's just really good to just put something streaming on in the background. I've got the, you can just see the LG sound system connected as well at the top right. So it's, yeah, it's pretty cool. The angle isn't great. So if I sit back and trying to work, it is a bit steep to look up, but as a monitoring screen or a movie in the background, it's okay. Or, you know, I don't know if you can see me, the big couch, the couch behind, just kind of sit down and watch movies. So, yeah. But it's about an hour. I've been online for about an hour streaming, and I'll probably just do a recap, and then I'll let you all get on with your Mondays. So I know we've got a few people from around the world. We had someone from South Africa. I think time zone's roughly the same, so it's coming up to dinner time probably as well. And but it's probably really sunny and warm where you are, not cold and wet and rainy like here in the UK. But I'm sure other time zones would. If they're further ahead, we'll probably have going for dinner. So just to recap what we were talking about, and if I forget something, please all do jump in. So what we're talking about was CI and CD, so that's continuous integration and continuous delivery. So the continuous integration part, also this built, by the way. Yep, so if I scroll down to the bottom, it did build successfully. You can see, but I'm not going to merge it because it will merge to production. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing. All my stuff in test is deployable, so I could do it. I'll save it for next time, as I have deployed to test already today. So what we showed was creating a branch, again using the GitHub UI, and then creating a branch, doing a commit, it building on CI. So we saw the CI part, it did build. It's this one down here, the issue 776, and then we did the build, and then we created a pull request. And when we merged a pull request into my 0.9 branch under pull request, you'll see it will be closed now. Here we go, this is what we called it. When we merged that in, CI started building that, and then it automatically deployed that, because the version we had, this is what we had, this was the last, I'm pointing at my screen, I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen. Oh, you're 1 hour ahead of the UK. I'm talking about my screen, pointing at it. Pointing is really stupid. But also, I'm showing my screen, but I'm not sharing it. So this is what, no one reminded me that I wasn't sharing my screen. Were you all enjoying the big screen, which is got nothing on it? I don't know why I thought I turned on Apple TV. Anyway, I'll worry about him later. So 1 hour ahead. Okay, so dinner time soon, I think, for yourself as well. If it's 1 hour ahead, so it's about 7:40 there. So yeah, I'll just wrap up. So the last build for 0.9 was 1219, and that's what we saw on the version right at the bottom. Again, I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see where I'm pointing. Let me use the mouse and highlight it. So this here, you can see at the bottom, is 09, and it was 1219. And then after we merged, it built successfully, the build number from Travis is 1225. And then we did a refresh of the page, and this changed to 1225. So that was the CD part of the CI. I came in too late, but from what I've seen already, I'll be back here for sure. God Greeny, thanks for joining. Sorry you missed the beginning. I try and do 5:30 Monday to Friday in UK time, every day for like an hour, and see how that goes. I'll try and do some maybe extra ones here and there, but that's why I want to be consistent, kind of 5:30 Monday to Friday UK time. But thank you very much for joining, and I appreciate everyone's support, everyone's questions. Do follow, and you'll get notifications when I do come online. I might try and sneak in some sneaky ones, maybe early morning, and on the weekends I'll try and do mornings as well, but they're a bit more ad hoc. So EnvisionNet, if you could improve anything in your setup, what would you improve? Good question. Actually, that's a very, very good question. So this has taken me quite a while to get this setup sorted. I have a custom built desk. I'm actually going to do a video walking around my room, because I've got lots more stuff that I don't know if you'll be able to see if I switch over slightly to screens. And if you look on the bottom right one, which is covering the chat, which is really stupid. I need to sort that out. Another thing for me to do. So Auth 0 keys and that camera. But if you look at the bottom right, you'll see my wall. It's actually a magnetic whiteboard. The entire wall is a magnetic whiteboard. So I've drawn all over it, as you can see. So that I would probably improve, because it was it cost quite a bit. And it's not perfect. So what I would have preferred to have done would actually, Apple TV has suddenly woken up. What I would have preferred to do is grab these glass kind of sheets that you can put in front of the wall and write on them. They wouldn't be magnetic, but the magnetic side, to be honest, I think it was a waste of money. I don't use too much. Although you can just about see it behind my mic. If I kind of give my mic a bit of a shuffle out the way, if you look on the wall here, I have to, next time I'll put the camera facing that way. But if you can see these little squares on the wall, where my finger kind of is, they're actually from AWS. They're AWS environments. Let me grab one for you. I'll try and not knock over any equipment. So they are magnetic stickers, and what you can build your environments with Arrow. Which way is that? One way up. So that's Route 53. And then one over here is DynamoDB. So you've got a whole load of these magnetic stickers, so you can build your environment, and it comes with arrows and all the rest, and so you can kind of see it, and you can shuffle things around. And it's got the whole set. When it came with like 2 A4 bits of paper, all these little squares, and so you got duplicates of certain ones because you might have more of them. But yeah, so that's on my magnetic wall, and but the magnetic wall, that's the good thing about the magnetic wall, but. Yeah, it took a long time. It's quite expensive, so I probably would have done that slightly differently. In terms of, so InvisionNet asking the question about how else would I improve about my setup. Love the screens, these three down here. This one's probably a bit too close. So in hindsight, I wouldn't have that screen so close. It needs to be a meter back. Really, really does. I probably couldn't do that where my desk is. But at the time I thought it'd be good. So yeah, that screen's a bit kind of, and with the window behind, when it is sunny in the UK, when we get our 3 days of sunshine a year, it gets quite bright with the light coming through. I've got a blind, but I probably need to get something a bit more. That's about it. I mean, what would you change about my setup? So if this was yours, so I've got it showing you my my whole setup, and what would you change? I do want to mount these two screens, and the iMac are on their stands. So I don't know if you can see my hands here. It's actually on the stand. I would like to mount those on an arm, but the arms that I saw, they can't handle the weight because I think these are about 8 or 9 kilos, and I think the arm was like 1 kilo less. And I didn't want it to kind of the arms to sag with the screens. So I've parked that for now, but that's another thing I would change. But yeah, InvisionNet, what would you change? If you were sitting here, I do have some LED lights. I know everyone loves some LED lights. So I've got a blue one behind, and I've got another blue one under my desk. I've got a table on the side that's actually a cube, and the whole thing lights up, but I don't really use it that much. Kind of a bit silly. But yeah, that's my setup. I'm going to leave you all to go for dinner, if it's that time of the day for you in your time zone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for the questions and support. This has been the busiest stream I've had, and I really, really appreciate it. Should I give a shout out to anyone else who's joined? I've mentioned quite a few names already, but thank you very much everyone for joining. Hearing me talk about Dashboard Hub, my open source project. It's fully open source on GitHub. Let me share my screen so you can see. Yeah, Dashboard Hub is the organization, and this project, the main project, is Pipeline Dashboard. By all means, please contribute, even star it. If you don't want to create a pull request, give me a star. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch as well, so you can get notifications when I'm online. And so we're talking about Dashboard Hub, and I was talking about the continuous integration and continuous delivery. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing again though, but thank you everyone for joining. I've noticed Brutane has joined, God Greeny, InvisionNet asked a great question, so thank you very much. Who else have I said hey to? I think I've said hey to Radu BG. People have some interesting names. Okay, I know they're not probably their real names, but they're still quite interesting. Satori Q. I think everyone else said hey to. If I've forgotten you, I apologise. The list is a bit slow in updating as well. Apparently it's like a minute delay. So if you've just joined, I probably haven't said hey. Listen, thank you very much everyone for joining, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow 5:30 again UK time. Have a great evening everyone. And I want to put up my holding screen. I've got a screen for an ending screen. Here we go.